Welcome back, everybody. Here we are back at Bearsville Bees, and we've got something extremely cool in here today. This is something that I'm not well versed in, but it's something that I'm starting to look into, and it may be something you guys need to look into also, to have sitting around your bee yard, around your apiary, so you can have something when you need it, because this is what this is all about. So we'll work with Bob here, and we're going to kind of go through this step by step, and we'll talk to you about what we got here. And it's all disassembled. It's all broke apart except for a couple of things. So we'll walk you through it and we'll build this thing back up so you can see what it looks like at the very end. But right now we're looking at, what is this called, Bob?
So we have come up and introduced our resource hive. And I've got it broken down right now, and we're going to put it together piece by piece so we can explain it. So we have just a traditional solid bottom board, but you can see that we are divided, which will make sense in a little bit. We're going to take a 4-frame nuke, put it on here, and as you notice, when we set this on, the bottom board is divided, so the bees can't interact. So we're going to have 2 4-frame nukes boxes that would set like that, and they're divided. But for our brood chamber, we have a 10-frame Langstroth box with a solid divided board in it that sets on top. So again, we've got a colony chamber and a colony chamber. We set our nukes on top. Each one of them has, Andy, if I can slide around here, it's going to have its entrance reducer here. This colony is going to have its entrance reducer over here.
Yep, so depending on what you're putting in here, you've always got one hive, because they're both separate, even though it's all one unit. You always have one hive going inside one way and outside the other, so they can never intermingle.
Yep. And then of course, each one of them has their inner cover. And they share a top cover. So they're sharing the deep bottom brood chamber with just a divider board in it. And then they both have their 2 top nukes. So what makes this special? Well, it's aptly named a resource hive, using 2 nukes, or a nuke is short for a nucleus colony. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be sharing the heat resources inside of this. Great for overwintering bees, because again, you don't have a small 4 or 5 frame box setting out by itself. The bees are inside. There's a 3/4 inch board separating them. So the heat resources are going to be sharing.
And what Bob's talking about was with overwintering, guys, for some of you that don't know. Okay, for those of us up here in the north, a lot of us were taught and were well versed in, you have 2 colonies. You'll take your bottom deep brood of 1. You'll take your other colony that's small and weak also. You'll pull the queen out of her. You'll lay a piece of newspaper down, cut some slits in it, and you'll set that brood box on top of them. So they will eventually intermingle, and they'll all have just one single queen, but you'll have gotten rid of that queen. This right here takes that away. This saves that queen that you would pinch off, in a sense, because you'll take those 2 smaller hives and you'll put 1 in each side. So the queens can never touch each other. No colony can ever touch each other, but you're still getting both of the smaller colonies in the same box to where they can share the heat. And it makes it much better, much more convenient to overwinter, especially when springtime comes. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
So let's just say springtime comes right now, this time of the year. Mm-hmm. The bees are working. They've been in it over winter. They're working. I've got another colony sitting over here that's really weak. Mm-hmm. I need some brood. This is aptly named Resource Hive. It's a resource for my other hives. So I could go and pull out, I didn't have any frames in it. I could go out, I could come in, I could pull out some brood, take it over to my other hive and replace brood. Maybe I just need some draw and comb to get one going. I could pull a frame out, have draw and comb.
Mm-hmm. So, in a sense, coming out of spring, how many of you have lost a hive or lost a lot of bees? You know, if you had this resource hive sitting out in your apiary, you could pull this off, take a couple frames of brood over and go put it in that big thriving hive that you had that maybe just this last cold snap, because this is spring. These cold snaps is when you really start to lose your bees. You know, your bees of winter physiology are only starting to die off now. So this is something to help you and aid in that and building that big, strong colony back up.
And again, this time of year, we're always looking to split and prevent swarms, and this is a perfect hive to split into, give the bees their own space. They're not in a giant box, and they can get going. You've got a resource then, again, to take care of the rest of your hives in your apiary.
And this is a lot bigger thing down south. Obviously, we don't see a whole lot of this up here, but this has a lot of benefactors that we could use and we should use up here. I mean, you know, we've talked about the Layens hive, which Bob is adamant about, which I am also. You guys are going to see that a little bit later when we get it to our house. And this is something that I may even keep in mind, because this is something you guys need for that moment in the spring when you go out and work your bees on a Saturday and say there's nobody around you that's open and you can't get any. Yep. You can't get any frames. You can't get a swarm trap. You can't get a whole complete hive. Man, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I've got a swarm. I've got swarm cells. Maybe I got a queen cup. Maybe I got a queen that's emerging. Mm-hmm. Boom, you got this sitting there ready to go. You can split out of that right in there and you haven't lost a thing. Yep. And life goes on.
Best part about it, we're introducing these out $99. As you see it, no frames, because you're going to be using your own frames in it, but $99. Again, this has our ESP finish on it. I think every apiary ought to have one of these on standby.
Absolutely.
And you get in a pinch, you get in trouble, you've got a resource, and you will grow resources for the rest of your colonies.
Yep, absolutely. And for instance, another thing that we'll plug in here, say you've got one of your hives coming out of winter, say you got a queen that went out on her mating flight, or you got say you got one of your new packages and she went out on a mating flight. A bird ate her. She got lost in the wind in a storm and come back. You know, you intentionally have a package sitting there waiting on a queen, but she's never coming back. You don't want to lose that whole package. And with this resource hive, you could take a queen out of here and you put her in a cage, put her in that package, let them get used to her. That way they don't ball her. Let them get acclimated to her. Do a slow release on her. Maybe in a little bit of candy in a queen cage. Let them eat the candy out. And this right here could potentially save you even a package. You know what? A package is expensive nowadays. I mean, you don't want to lose all them bees just because your queen didn't make it back. So that's also something you guys want to keep in mind, that when they say resource hive, this is your resource. This is where you can keep your apiary going and not really lose a whole lot.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free on Facebook, hit the button, give us a call. Again, $99 as you see it. We have several of them in stock. Can't wait to hear from you.
We also have frames. So if you want to get one of these and we get frames, we can do everything. Bearsville Bees is a one-stop shop. They can take care of it. They can build you a hive. They can build you just one frame. Anything you need, they'll get you taken care of. So go ahead and hop over to bearsvillebees.com. Check that out also. Check out their Facebook page at Bearsville Bees Parkersburg. And I think that's going to be it for the Resource Hive. We hope to see you guys soon.